This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the Boss Rush family of podcasts, head to bossrush.net or our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Dirrig, and alongside me is the mad pharmacist herself, Stephanie Klimov.
I still laugh or have spontaneous outbursts of laughter with those tortured Koroks. Just wanted to say.
Yeah, that was a good time on what night did we do that?
Yesterday?
Monday night? Monday? Yes,
Monday?
Monday.
Monday. Sorry.
Monday.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I don't even know what day of the week it is.
I know.
Happy podcast night.
Yeah. Look up some of the funny ways that you can do things with Koroks. It's pretty funny. I introduced Stephanie to the Korok crucifixion
And
trains.
I was like laughing on air for 3 straight minutes. Like I couldn't stop. I was having issues.
Yeah, Grayson even he commented on YouTube, but then he said you laughing was like the best part of the podcast. Was like
Made me happy. At least it wasn't annoying.
Also back with us is the one and only PK Power Klein.
You guys are seriously depraved. My gosh, you're watching a little innocent creature get tortured to death. I'm referring you to PETA.
Look, I mean, they don't care about vegetables, people. They
They care about murdering animals, not murdering plants.
Well, I'm going to call the vegan equivalent of PETA.
Vita.
Vita. I'm going to call the Vita.
I think they've already failed back in the day.
Also, our guest tonight, very, very graciously joining us on very short notice. He's been on Nintendo Pal Block. You know him from the single player experience. Sebastion Mauldin is here. Hello, sir.
What's up?
Yay!
How's it going?
Hey.
Welcome to our fine program.
Only the finest of programs.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the killer entrance. It's not every day that I get introduced to a podcast and someone raises a feline in the air like the Lion King. And it was like Simba's coronation and everything like that. So I feel very, very grateful to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
Do you think what Stephanie does to the Koroks are bad? You should see what she does to that cat.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness,
No!
She dresses it up in little hats, and the cat just looks so sad.
I know. You torture that poor cat.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. She loves every second of it.
Sebastion, you people who who listen to the Boss Rush shows know you because you've been on Nintendo Power Block and you did a 1v1 with Ed a couple weeks or maybe a month ago at this point. But for those who are newer to the Boss Rush podcast and the Boss Rush network, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Oh, that's a very, very deep question. but I'm Sebastion Mauldin. I am with the Single Player Experience podcast. I, write reviews for the ProNerdReport.com, and just generally, I'm a gamer who enjoys single player games. I don't think I actually played a multiplayer experience in a very long time now, but I love, which is crazy because I love people. I just don't want to actually play games with them, to be honest. It becomes harder when you're an adult to actually schedule playtime and such like that, multiplayer experiences. So, and I'm a guy who loves single player narrative heavy kind of games.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. You can always find me playing roguelike or roguelike games. I also am heavily playing a lot of open world games. I think we're all playing the same game that's taking over the world right now with Tears of the Kingdom and such. So yeah, just a little bit about myself.
So the single player experience is an interesting one. You want to tell us about your podcasts for
sure. For sure. So I was at a young age bitten by a radioactive spider, and it became like I'm just kidding, but it became my I really wanted to do a podcast that no one else was doing in the industry. And one of the things that kind of always that I always leaned to in gaming was the book club experience. And I just really wanted to talk about like some of the big single player games that kind of get overshadowed in the industry, or and some of the ones that everyone else is talking about that kind of needs a little more fleshing out. So the single player experience is the perfect podcast for single player gamers to find about good single player games to play, and then introduce like other single player gamers who are playing those games. So recently we've had on like unboxing legend on Lamar Wilson on the show. He came on to talk about some of the cool games he's been playing, some of the dope things he's unboxed. We've had on just different people from all across the industry, from developers to writers to composers, and just really just find out like what type of games they like to play in their downtime. So it's everything from video game recommendations to kind of like a hey, meet this other gamer who also likes to play these dope games. Or I've had recently Dustin Brady who wrote like Trapped in a Video Game series on it. We talked about like what he's been playing in his spare time, and what kind of got him into writing like books about these video games. So yeah, just the single player experience podcast is basically that kind of platform.
That's awesome. That's such a good idea. That's a cool idea. We gotta Stephanie, write this down. We gotta have Sebastion on a book club in the coming months.
Okay.
Too.
Sounds good.
Not that we really have to write that down, but it's cool. I think that's a great idea for a podcast. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you could share with our audience about your podcast and you, and yeah, video games, they're awesome.
Yeah.
They really are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of them. Some of them, yeah. I almost booted you from the call when you said you played a lot of roguelikes. So
No, but he talked about how we played Elden Ring, so maybe we'll get good ratings this time.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny. We got a 2-star review on a podcast about maybe like a year ago at this point. Because we were talking about Elden Ring and how like none of us were like really that interested in it.
Right, and we weren't even trashing Elden Ring. We weren't talking bad about it. We're just like, oh, I'm not interested. Me neither. And then this person,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think it came up because I think Dan O'Mac was on that episode, and he was really hyped for it, and we were talking about like Souls games and something, and we just kind of he was really into it, but we kind of weren't excited for it, and we got a 2-star review.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's people, man, the internet. What can you do though?
You're lucky you didn't get canceled.
I know. Oh no.
I understand, because like I came on the Elden Ring train kind of later in the year, because like while everyone else was like obsessed with that game, I was very much into Horizon Forbidden West and really just enjoying my time with that. So yeah, I was on the outside looking in on the whole hype until the summer, or maybe even the fall of Elden Ring.
Yeah, Horizon, man, what a franchise! I love that. I
love Aloy in the world that she lives in. It's just it's not necessarily like the franchise's fault, but they always pick the worst dates for that.
Yes,
they really do.
I know. Yeah, man, Horizon is great. I haven't finished the new one yet, just because I got a PlayStation 5 like super late, and then I got one in November, and I was playing God of War. I still haven't finished that either.
Boy.
Yeah, I don't.
Neither one, like Ragnarok or God of War 2018.
They're okay.
Wow.
In my opinion, they're just okay.
2 stars for you, sir. 2 stars.
Yeah, 2 stars. God of War 2-star review, Apple Podcasts. I mean, they're not like bad games or anything. I don't find myself compelled to like after like an hour of playing, I just kind of want to play something else. It's just kind of like I'm not driven to play. And then I'm like, I also hate Atreus. I think I hate him. I don't want him, and I hope he dies at the end of this game, so we can have a game I haven't been spoiled for the new one, shockingly, yet. But like, I just hope like we move on from him, which I don't think so, because they're clearly setting him up to be something important in the lore. So I'm just gonna have to suck it up. But as someone who one of my favorite franchises going into God of War 18, well, it was God of War. God of War 2 is a top 10 game, seminal game for me in my life, right? That game was amazing. And God of War 3 too, to an extent. God of War 3 is why I bought a PS3. But I'm just not, I don't know. I think it's just because it feels like every other game almost that Sony makes, like the over the shoulder third person. And I had just gotten done like playing all these other third person games. I'm like, man, another one. I don't know. But we're not here to air my grievances about God of War. And then Fire Emblem came out. That's a game I was shockingly not into either, was the new Fire Emblem game.
Engage.
Are we talking about Engage?
With Colgate
Yeah.
guy?
Oh, Engage is like bland to me. Like,
yeah, it's so boring. Like,
especially coming off of Three Houses. Like, Three
I know.
Houses felt like it had all the juice behind it. You got to meet all these really cool, nuanced characters. You kind of like all the students were kind of cool in like different ways. Like, Engage feels like they took it out of the oven and didn't season it.
Yeah,
Like, nobody has a personality in that game.
Yeah,
And what sucks is that they introduced so many like that. The cast is so huge, but then like all the side characters, other than the lords, like they're no longer important. Like once they get introduced, they're gone. Now, then all the cutscenes are based on the lords of each kingdom and your main character.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just, yeah, and again, I like Fire Emblem. I love Fire Emblem, but like this last one just didn't do anything for me. I'm actually like thinking about playing Advance Wars Reboot Camp, because I'm kind of itching for like a strategy game, and Fire Emblem just didn't do it for me. And
well, if you're looking for a story, Advance Wars is not going to give you
I don't care about the story.
Give you a heads up. Okay.
I don't care about a story in Advance Wars, but I mean, I already know what I'm in for that. But yeah, I agree with you, Sebastian. Coming off of Three Houses, like Engage was so disappointing.
Oh yeah.
The thing though is like the combat in the game was like the gameplay part of it was great. It just wasn't engaging. Pardon the pun,
ironically.
Yeah. So, and then Metroid Prime came out, and I was like, oh man, that game's awesome. And then what else did I get really into? Oh, Hogwarts Legacy came out this year too. I was like, what was the big game I played this year? Hogwarts Legacy.
And then there's a game that you wouldn't have played except we forced you to, and that was Resident Evil 4.
I know. Stephanie forced me to play Resident Evil 4, which was good, by the way. I just going to be about another decade before I play another survival horror game.
Listen,
that's fine.
I hate spoopy games too, but I loved it, so.
I know.
Sebastian, did you play Hogwarts Legacy?
Yes, I did. Yes,
okay,
I did.
Did you like it?
I think it is really good in the first 10 hours, and I feel like after the like 10-hour mark kind of gets either repetitive, stale, and kind of like boring. That's where it kind of like they introduce all the characters, like it becomes and pardon my French here, it becomes more like Fable than it does like Harry Potter, and like a lot of the lore that is like presented in Hogwarts Legacy isn't accurate to, especially since I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. It's not accurate to like the Harry Potter like lore. Like you would like in that universe, it's established that like the unforgivables are indeed unforgivable. Just uttering the words would get you sent to Azkaban. In this, you can say it in front of a teacher, whether you commit the spell or not, and there's no actions involved in it. And again, I understand it's not GTA to where like there's a cop system or anything like that. I just like it feels cool, like yeah, if it would be, but it feels like they were kind of like very loose with the lore in the actual story. Like several teachers are teaching you different spells throughout the game, and a lot of those spells doesn't have anything to do with like the subjects they teach. So it's kind of weird that the care of magical creatures isn't the one teaching you like how to actually care for the magical creatures. They're teaching you like Bombarda and like how to blow up stuff. And I'm like, yeah, and like the flying teacher is teaching you how to basically do like a slicing spell. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what is this? Like, and even then, like you have an auror, which is like the police in the world, like on the staff, like an ex or on the staff, and he's not the one like mentoring you through this whole
Oh
journey.
yeah, he's the potions master, right?
He's the poster, yes, potions master. So it almost feels like it feels like there was a lot of like not a lot of attention to detail with this kind of game. It feels like a lot of systems were put in place that kind of feel Harry Potter-esque, but not necessarily like quite, I guess you could say, 1v1 what that world actually is and the rules established in that world, like the lore. So that's my problems. And also like that story takes like a nosedive off the cliff towards the ending.
Yeah, I kind of found like we did a 2-part book club on that game, and I kind of found myself, like you said, after like the first 15, 16 hours or so, I found myself kind of beelining it to the end. I mean, I felt kind of rushed to do it because of book club too, but like also I kind of am glad I did it that way, because like I feel like the game as an experience was better for me in doing that, because I wasn't wasting my time doing the repetitive stuff, and it didn't sour the taste of the game.
Oh yeah, I almost wish it was like maybe 20 hours, like if they can reduce that down, maybe like to 10 to 15 hours versus like the massive expansive like 40-hour experience it is. It's like I feel like it would have been better for it.
Yeah, the pacing was definitely off. Like I do recall at the beginning like being very story focused, and then like once you get to what is it, winter? Once you got to winter, fall, all of a sudden every mission had like a massive dungeon attached to it, and it was always the same thing: go meet this character, go into some dungeon, have a cutscene, your story's over.
Yeah, and then you also had like the same 3 enemy types. It seemed after a while, it's like you either fought the same kind of creatures, the same kind of like grimy looking men or women, and then you fought like the same goblins over and over again. So it kind of felt repetitive towards the end of the game as well.
Yeah. Anyways, go check out our 2-part book club series on Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, available now on YouTube. And then also, I think the Resident Evil 4 one is also available now. I don't know. I can't keep up with any of this stuff. Anyways, speaking of keeping up, let's talk about what we've been playing. So we've all been playing Tears of the Kingdom. We have a topic tonight about Zelda. So we're going to save that talk about Tears of the Kingdom in our overall Zelda conversation. Also, it's our upcoming book club. So we're going to keep our conversation kind of light on that. I mean, you know, we'll talk about it like normal, but you know, we have a book club coming up on that. So if you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support. We'll talk about everything else we've kind of been playing up until Zelda. So, Sebastion, you are our esteemed guest. You are welcome to go first.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I've been playing a lot of different games lately in the mix of things. I recently just jumped on my first Metroid game with Metroid Prime Remastered. I've never actually played a Metroid game beforehand, and I like the game quite a bit. I don't love it for it sort of feels aged in a lot of different ways, and I don't necessarily love the save system after living in games for the last 20 years, knowing what auto saves feel like at this point. Going back to that like tried and true manual save point on a map kind of feels weird, but I like aspects of that game. I really wish they would have leaned more heavily into the lore of that, because I really would have loved to see how does this character come to be and everything like that. So but yeah, I enjoyed that game. I've been playing another game called Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly, which is basically like a visual novel lo-fi game where you basically operate a coffee shop. That's kind of like my chill and relax experience at the end of the night. Like the narrative there, like the characters. And then I think and I've been playing what I probably many others in the industry consider the indie game of the year right now, and that's Dredge. Dredge is kind of like a game where you're playing as a boat captain, and you're sort of like going out and trying to fish the waters while also uncovering a mystery of what's happening around the islands around those waters. And the game has this really eerie vibe, but also like this very serene art style. It is kind of like a contrast between the light and day cycle in that game as well. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Really engaging story. And then I've been playing, Tears of the Kingdom. Those are kind of like the games I've been playing lately. What about you, Patrick? What have you been playing lately?
What have I been playing? Well, I've been playing a crap ton of Tears of the Kingdom. I had to at least put 30 hours into that game already now. Like I started in the weekend and I can't like actually get to bed before 11 o'clock right now because I'm always doing, I just gotta do one more thing. I just gotta do one more thing. I just gotta do one more thing. But before that came out, I put a heavy emphasis on playing through Guardians of the Galaxy again.
Oh, love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
That game's got some great humor to it. Like it's I don't know why I quit playing it the first time around. Like I got about halfway through. Oh, you know what? It was probably because it got really heavy towards halfway point. But it's a great story, and after watching the movie, like I just wanted to just have some more Guardians in my life.
Oh yeah, I forgot that movie came out. I wonder if that game got any boost from that movie coming out, like in sales or anything.
I would imagine at least a little bit.
On sale.
Yeah. But yeah, that game is phenomenal. Love the characters. Love how that, as opposed to like the movies, this is more comic book accurate to those characters. And this is kind of like a different interpretation of like Drax and Gamora and even Rocket to a certain extent. But like love how different they went than the MCU, but yet it still feels very familiar to what we know of those characters in a way. I love that. And the story is so cool. I love like how different the story is than anything we also seen of their adventures in the MCU as well.
Now, seeing you probably have some knowledge of the Guardians lore, is the Grand Unifier in anything, or is this like a completely original character?
I believe he's been in comic book lore for a long time now. I've read of his stories and other things outside of the video game.
Okay. I was kind of curious whether this was actually based on something or whether this was like completely original.
No, I believe like this is interpretation of a mainline comic book story from their like Etios. But like it's interesting though, like there's a lot of like little things in the story that weren't comic book based, like his relationship with the officer and like the surrogate daughter kind of character and everything like that are completely different. And like those type of things, like they didn't necessarily take 1v1 from the comics, but like a lot of the other stuff is like, a lot of it is kind of like loosely based on the comic book, such as like Cosmos and like that, and like the ships and everything like that. So I was fascinated to see how much they kind of like were different than the mainline story and the comic book and the MCU, and they still made something very special all on its own. I would love a sequel for that game.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I actually like held off on getting it for a while because like I don't really care for the movies really at all. Like
at all.
I thought. How many 3-star reviews are you trying to get yourself today?
I'm trying to set a record here, Pat. So yeah, I mean like the first one's fun. The second one, I just like I think I fell asleep the first 2 times I watched it. I was just like, jeez, I don't know.
Is it just Guardians or is it like all the MCU?
No, I mean, no, it's not all the MCU. There are MCU movies I absolutely love. Like I love like Winter Soldier is like one of my favorite movies.
Number 1.
It's my favorite MCU movie by far, and I think it might be like a top 5 movie for me, like all time.
I'm right.
I'm not a big movie guy. Like I like stupid like. I like movies that I don't have to think too much about, right? Like, like Last Crusade, Casino Royale, TMNT, the original.
You're a popcorn flick kind of guy.
Yeah, that's me. You know all those movies everybody complains about all the time? That's me. I'm the guy that likes those movies. Okay,
you're the guy that keeps Transformers going.
Here's the thing. I liked the first one, okay, and I like I have a general for the first 3 Transformers movies. The 4th Transformers movie is the worst movie I've ever watched in my entire life, and I have not seen anything after that. So,
okay.
Although
fair.
Beast Wars looks good, or whatever they're calling it.
I was just about to ask, are you tempted to see Beast Wars?
You know what? If they put it on a streaming service I'm subscribed to, I will watch it at some point.
That's fair. That's fair.
Did that series lose continuality? I feel like now that they're just not connected in any way.
No,
shape,
they're
or form.
all connected still. Bumblebee is a prequel, and this is a sequel to everything. But I'm sure you don't have to go. I'm sure you don't have to watch the first 75 movies to get anything out of Beast Wars, right? This movie seems like the transition movie to where people who like Beast Wars, we're getting our thing, But I don't know. It's fine. It's all good. Transformers 1, good. 2, okay. 3, pretty good.
I enjoyed the Cybertron video game back in the day.
Oh yeah, man! The second one was amazing. The first one's really good too, but the second one, Fall of Cybertron, is amazing. And I was like, I forgot because I was looking at a list of backwards compatible games, and I was like, these games can't be backwards compatible because then I saw that I remember that they re-released it on Xbox One, but it's been delisted, so you can't buy it unless you go find a disc for it. And I'm like, I'm not wasting my time going to find a piece of plastic to stick on a shelf just to play this. But I do have the first one digitally on my 360 that's still downstairs that I could technically play, but I don't want to.
So. I'm like, if it's on your 360, can you not just play it through your library, digital library?
No, the 360 version is not backwards compatible.
Oh wow, that's insane.
Yeah, it's only the re-release on Xbox One. So anything licensed, I just kind of count out at this point. So it's okay. Anyways, Guardians of the Galaxy, great game. You should buy it. I think it's on Game Pass still. Maybe it's not.
If it is still on Game Pass, that's one of the uncut gems of Game Pass.
Yes. That and Outriders. Those are the 2 games you should be playing on Game Pass right now. I
was with you until you said Outriders.
Outriders is amazing. Yeah. Game of the year. 20 year Halo came out.
Halo came out. I think that's the hottest take of the show so far.
That's fine. I don't care. I have a lot of hot takes. It's fine. You'll learn. It's fine. You'll never come back after some of them. It's fine. What else are you playing, Pat?
Those were the ones I really played this week. I have played Trinity Trigger, and I haven't talked about that one ever yet.
What is that?
That was an interesting
Trinity
game.
Trigger?
Trinity Trigger is a game produced by Xseed. It is kind of it feels like a Secret of Mana game. It's a overhead action RPG where you have 3 characters and they all can cycle through weapons. You have these things called triggers, which are their little talking animals, but they can turn into weapons. The game is remarkably all right. It doesn't really do anything special. It just kind of gives you those nostalgic feelings for the good old Super Nintendo games again, like Secret of Mana. But it's all right.
It sounds like a popcorn flick video game for you.
It you know what? I got it because of the nostalgia, and it had an art book with it, and I was like, cool, I will take it.
You got to do it for the art book.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it doesn't do anything spectacular. The combat is combat's interesting. Your characters have absolutely no clue what they're doing. Unless they have the exact right weapon in their hand, they're almost completely useless and die very frequently. So the AI could definitely be a lot better. But it's colorful. It's got character with some of the characters. You have one of your characters, of course, is one of those hey, look at me, I'm an old man, even though I'm 25 years old. And everyone like calls him creepy because like he's 25 years old, and it's just those classic Japanese tropes that you used to love from the video games of old.
What
Classic
platform are you
tropes.
playing on it?
Switch.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So yeah,
Cool.
that's what I played.
Stephanie, you're back.
Yes.
What are you playing?
Well, I'm playing pretty much what everyone's been playing, but before I do that, I did get in a little bit more Roots of Pacha before Tears of the Kingdom came out, which is sad because there was a notice on Steam that, or not Steam, I don't know if it was an email or a tweet, but it looks like there's a little bit of a disagreement between the publisher Critvio and the developer Soda Den about the rights and ownership of Roots of Pacha, so the publisher had it taken down from Steam, which stinks.
Gotta love those.
Yeah, I don't know obviously the details behind it. I just hope and wish that it gets resolved one way or the other, that in the fairest way possible, which I know is probably not going to happen, but because Roots of Pacha is a really fun game. I haven't played a farming sim in many a year, and it was great. And I actually finally started dating people, like the dating part of it. In this game, you can date more than one person, so I'm enjoying the polyamorous life.
Scandalous.
Wow.
Damn.
Not something I
And
do
no
in real life.
consequences? Like they're like, hey, why are you dating this person? And
Not yet.
And then they tie you to a bed and just leave you there like they did with The Witcher?
Oh, maybe. To be continued. But yeah. Other than that, it's Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know in the few minutes I stepped away if you guys talked about it, but
well,
we're already done
saving
talking
it.
with it.
Okay, so then yeah.
No, we're saving it for ours. One of the topics in the doc is about why does Zelda grab us in some ways and doesn't in others, and so we were going to save it for that.
All right, perfect. So I'll just say I got the collector's edition. I love it, and I feel stupid while I play it, but I love it. The end.
I feel sad every time I see people with the controller and the collector's edition, and
I just got my controller today.
I did not.
The controller looks nice.
I can't find one. I can't find it anywhere.
Well, you know what, Corey? This is what you get for calling the Switch, the Zelda Switch OLED baby poop. Okay.
That's what it looks like.
It does not look like baby poop.
No.
It looks like I wrapped my nice, clean white OLED in my son's diaper and slid it through like a piece of floss, and that's what came out. There's another hot take for you, Sebastion. He's
no, man. That one's actually not that
hot. Yeah. So I've been playing quite a few games actually. I finished. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I finished Ravenlock on Game Pass. Got all the achievement points. I recommend it if you need a quick 1,000 achievement points on Xbox. It's super fun. We're gonna have Coco Cucumber on A's developer spotlight in a couple weeks or so. I'm kind of trying to find a date for them, more for me because I'm busy. But that game is super cool. I mean, it's not the best game I've ever played by any stretch of the imagination, but like it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like baby's first Zelda, and I kind of wish I would have, like, it feels like something that my daughter, who's going to be 5, might have liked to watch me play, or maybe tried to have played at some point herself. It's cool. It's like an Alice in Wonderland kind of 2D 3D Zelda. I don't know. It's weird because
did you know there's 2 games before this one?
I do. What, on the dock?
No, there's
Echo Generation. There's actually 3 games before this one. Echo Generation was the last game that their studio put out, and then there's I forget what the other 2 are.
I don't know. I'm just reading the notes, and it says the grand finale of the Coco Cucumber Voxel trilogy.
Oh, let's see. Echo Generation, River Bond were the games that are in the Voxel trilogy, and then Planet of the Eyes is their other game. So it's weird because like this game, it feels like it wants to be a 2D game but then you have this weird camera that kind of reminds me of like almost like a Mario 64 camera where like it doesn't swing. It just like you press left and right and it just moves like in a locked position. But then you can only have it in 3 separate positions. So like it's just this weird camera. That was like the only thing that bothered me, especially during boss fights, because you get behind a boss and you couldn't swing the camera around to, turn around. So you'd have to like run around the boss to get in front of it and fight it. But it was fun. I'm glad I played it on Game Pass. And then I also played Unpacking this past weekend.
Oh, you loved it, didn't you?
It was good. I loved it. It was fun. There's a lot there's a lot of GameCube references in there. My wife is Jewish, and there's a lot of like Jewish things in there that kind of, was kind of neat to see. That you like unpack dreidels and a menorah, and there's a couple other things in there that are super cool. And then I did get all the achievements in there, including the one where you have to flush all the toilets is an achievement. So that was fun. And then my daughter decided that she likes Pokemon now. So I downloaded the demo of Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and let her kind of swing the Joy-Cons around for a little bit and try to catch Pokemon, and she loved it. She's obsessed with it. And so yeah, that's what I've been playing other than Tears of the Kingdom. So, but guys, Zelda good. Hashtag Zelda good. So let's talk about this, because I know Stephanie and I think are the highest on this. If you listen to this week's Nintendo Power Block, you got a lot of it. But we're not going to spend too much time because, like I said, this is our book club game for the month, so we're going to air a lot of spoilers there. Zelda is a franchise that I know Stephanie and I both love. Pat, I'm not 100% sure where you stand, or Sebastion.
I do very much enjoy the Zelda series. Some more than others, except for Triforce Heroes. That one does not count at all.
I don't think a lot of people count that game.
What? It's the best one.
That is, you just got yourself a 1-star review from that one.
That was a joke, though. All my other hot takes, true. This, false.
Yeah.
I've actually never played Triforce Heroes, so I can't give you an opinion either way.
Trust us. It's bad.
Doesn't look like a game for me, but it could be good. Could be amazing. I don't know. I haven't played it.
You're basically trying to help a princess who refuses to walk out of her castle because she's forced to wear drab clothes. And so you need to get her curse broken so that she can wear something prettier.
It seems like a legit Nintendo game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Sebastion, you seem like just based on our conversation beforehand, seem like I don't want to say you have the the worst take on this game, but you seem like the most kind of down on it, from at least from a story perspective.
Yeah, like disclaimer, I've only played 2 Zelda games in my life, and that was this is the second one. Like the first one was Breath of the Wild, so I am not by no means like an expert who can give like a solid analysis is like this lives up to the Zelda lineage or anything like that. On the outside like looking in though, like coming into the series playing Breath of the Wild and not falling in love like the whole world with Breath of the Wild because of because who I am as a gamer. Like I love these type of games. It's just I like these type of games with a lot more story, with a lot more narrative to it. And Breath of the Wild is a sandbox that basically lets you just do anything and everything that you want to do, and that's fun. Like this, like a lot of the core of this game is about just you doing whatever you want, however you want, and solving puzzles whichever way you want to. I'm just not that type of gamer. I would I like games that have like a nuanced character, like a Nathan Drake, or something that someone that I can like actually attach myself to and such like that. And Link is very much kind of just Link, like for better or for worse. I know people love him, but it's like it's a hard character coming into a series for the very first time to just fall in love with, when the character, one, doesn't emote a whole lot, doesn't say anything, and then like the story, for a lack of better words, is the same kind of tried and true like save the princess story that Nintendo's been doing for the last 30 years. It's
No,
yeah,
I
I know
like
it's a
that
little.
perspective, because I feel bad, honestly, whenever I talk about Zelda. Because if you freaking look at my wall, I mean, I'm clearly a little bit biased. I like hearing a fresh perspective from maybe someone who's not so Zelda focused, especially, if you're coming in fresh to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Because now that you say it like that, if I never got into the franchise and I just started Breath of the Wild, maybe played one Zelda game before, and looking at it purely just from like a third person adventure game, I can kind of see how like maybe you're not getting that same oomph, that maybe existing Zelda fans are. And it does make me wonder, because Link was initially created to be the link to the player, like, oh, he's just the avatar and you're Link, blah blah blah. I wonder if that really even kind of, if people even really feel that way anymore in modern time.
I kind of feel that way. I'm from that perspective, I'm kind of with Sebastion on that, where I think Link is actually like the least interesting character in the entire series. I mean, the characters in the series, like the champions for Breath of the Wild, are like way more interesting. Zelda is like exponentially more interesting than Link.
Well, the problem is, it's because he is, he does
Well,
not speak. He literally has no character growth other than his stats from the shrines you get. That is
yeah,
like the only growth you'll
yeah,
ever see him get.
and I understand that, right? Like I understand that's the point of the game, right? But like, there are games with protagonists that are that, but they kind of make them more interesting. But to Sebastian's point, like coming into these games, there's a lot of fan service type stuff in these games, especially like in Breath of the Wild, when you found Lon Lon Ranch from Ocarina of Time and it was kind of demolished and kind of sad looking, right? And you can point to that. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember jumping over that fence on N64 and, escaping with the milk and wondering why Mario was running a farm. And,
Oh yeah.
it's like, there's a lot of that in Breath of the Wild too, that like maybe new players wouldn't pick up on, or like in this one,
Yeah.
I am sure there are tons of Skyward Sword references in the Sky Islands. This game reminds me a lot of Twilight Princess in a lot of ways, which is my favorite Zelda game. Like this game is really tough to get into, even as a Zelda fan, I would say. I would actually say, if you've never played a Zelda game before, these games would probably be almost easier to get into from that perspective, because you don't have any expectations. If you're into like the sandbox building exploration type thing, like if you're looking for a story, that you're not getting it from Nintendo, right? Like you're just not.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Although this one is attempting. In Breath of the Wild, I'll give it its kudos. It's really attempting this series of games, whether there's going to be a third one in the series or not. They're attempting, right? And Skyward Sword was a little bit that way too. Although the game was just bad.
Dude, Skyward Sword had a character that developed very well. Like, he went from villain to probably the best hero in the entire game.
Who, Groose?
Groose.
Yeah.
Like
The
Groose loose.
Groosinator.
Like Groose loose.
The Groosinator.
But I will say, like, it's weird for me, because it's like Nintendo kind of picks and chooses their spots and when they like emphasize like stories in their trilogies. Because if you look at like Xenoblade, I hear a lot of good things about that story, and like as a person who's only experienced the first game and half of the second game, I can at least say that story is like more engrossing and like open towards like, hey, like I can completely grasp what's going on in this world, and I don't need like the 30-year history of a previous like installments to get kind of into it. And I feel like it's like I'm not trying to compare like be like a compare of like the way like Sony does it or the way like Xbox does it, but I feel like when if you look at franchises like Uncharted, for instance, like you can play Uncharted 3 and 4 without having to play 1 and 2 and still love that single journey and that single story. Sure, you get more out of the previous games if you play those, but like at least you can get more out of that single installment. You look at God of War like 2018, you're going to really enjoy a lot of the lore that is built off of like the Greek mythology, but that is a easy jumping in like point for a lot of like newcomers to the series. And like that's to me is a prime example of like if you were trying to get new people into the series, especially with your lore and your story, like make it interesting, like make it engaging. But
I
you know,
I think what it is, and it has been Nintendo's MO for the majority, if not all of their first party IPs, is gameplay is king. They will always
is
prioritize gameplay over story, even if story is there. So when I look at I'll be honest, I love Breath of the Wild. It's not my favorite of the Zelda games, but I can't deny the fact that they kind of I don't want to use revolutionize. They're not the first person to do the open world thing, but like they somehow can take Breath of the Wild and then create a direct sequel and just add a completely just new different like people are posting like thousands of like videos or tweets about the weird shit that they're creating. Like
yeah.
it's the gameplay stuff. So I guess it depends, like as a gamer, are you gameplay centric or are you story centric or are you kind of in the middle? So
I'm for sure in the middle. It's like I would love a good combination of things, but then like I also love like roguelike and roguelike games. Those are just strictly gameplay games. Like it's just games that have to kind of grab me personally. And when you have an open world that is like for Tears of the Kingdom, I'll be honest, like I find a lot of it empty, and like and as a person who like plays a lot of open world games and reviewed a lot of open world games and seen a lot of like the industry's reviews on other games, like we often slam games across the industry for being empty open worlds, and this one it's kind of like celebrated in a way that you can kind of like climb anything. You can also like go into the sky, and there's no loading screens because of the draw distance of like how long it takes for you to load and such like that. It's that sense of discovery I know that makes this game special. But like yeah, it's just one of those things to where I'm like it's baffling to me as a gamer, but again, not every game is meant for every gamer though.
I think one of the things about the world that makes Zelda like amazing, or at least like Nintendo's open world, is just how bug free
yes.
this world is. Like compared
I
to
found
all
some
these
dragonflies
other,
and I picked them up.
yeah, I see what you did there. But yeah, they created this absolutely massive world, very seamless, and it doesn't have any like massive glitches, people like falling through the ground or going into T poses or like just it's pretty flawless. And they added this whole construction system, which also like the physics
flawless.
just yeah, it's very impressive with what they did in terms of just sheer mechanics and just quality. It is one of the best open worlds you can get right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, not that this is an open world by any stretch of the imagination, but like coming off of what little I played of Redfall and how kind of broken I found parts of that game when I was playing it, and I still think that there's like an interesting thing in Redfall. I think that game could have been something really interesting and unique. But it's just there's so many. It's kind of broken. But anyways, like I went from that to Ravenlock and unpacking, and they're both like, not that they're the same game or anything, but they booted up. They didn't crash when I played it. There's no frame rate hitches. It just worked. Like, and Nintendo, I think, still is one of the few companies that kind of takes pride in not having their games broken at launch, aside from Pokemon, because
there we go.
Yeah.
I blame Pokemon Company.
I know. I get it. I kind of do too. But I also
I
PlayStation's
blame
been
Nintendo.
masterful
I
at
feel
it.
Nintendo pushed them to get that one out as fast as it did.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate here on both sides, I do think certain companies get the fanboy bump, if you will. You know, like I totally think Nintendo gets the Nintendo fanboy bump. I totally think Sony a lot of the times gets the fanboy bump. You know, like I think that
And poor Xbox, they
Mhm.
can't even
Yeah.
get the fanboy bump right now.
you got you got to get a game out first, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to get the bump, you need a game. Starfield, I guess, will be the next one. I guess, which again, another hot take. I have zero interest in Starfield, so well,
that's it, everyone.
Yeah, I'm fired.
Nice knowing you.
I know, I'm fired.
What's that figure that sales? I'm trying to load it on Twitter, and I don't want my Zencaster to crash.
For Zelda,
the sales mark is at 10 million.
10 million.
Oh yeah, 10 million in 3 days.
I will be
Yeah.
honest with you. I'm surprised. I mean, not that I did not expect it to sell well, but like I figured we are such a diverse gaming community with all different preferences with 3 major platforms. I'm actually surprised, I guess pleasantly surprised, but surprised that it hit that mark so quickly. Like, are these new people? Like,
I do wonder. Like, I know they said that this was the format for 3D Zelda's moving forward, right? But like, I wonder where that leaves like the tradition, quote unquote, traditional 3D and 2D Zelda games, right? Because like Link's Awakening is incredible. The remake is incredible.
It is.
A Link Between Worlds, everybody loves that game. And I just wonder where like even like, what if somebody wants a traditional Zelda game like an Ocarina of Time or a Wind Waker? Are we ever going to get one of those again? You know, and even if it's a smaller experience, right? Because don't get me wrong, I love Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I really do, but like, man, those games.
I feel like they'd have to outsource that one.
Yeah, I mean, Grezzo does a lot of their outsource work anyway, too, right? So
yeah,
I think honestly the key to that would just be to make a Zelda Dungeon Maker game, like the same way that you have that Super Mario Maker kind of experience. Nintendo can have its cake and eat it too with that kind of experience there.
Yeah,
it was a pretty fun experience in Link's Awakening. The new one had a
Dumpy's
it was
dumb dungeon maker dumb thing is not fun. That was the worst part of Link's Awakening, in my opinion.
I would like one, but no, I have the same concerns. I actually wrote an article about it in another Zelda podcast, and I know there's some conversation in the Twitter chat. I'm not trying to be down on it, but I'm starting to hear people going, Breath of the Wild was my first Zelda game, and maybe like, for example, those people like, then I went back to Skyward Sword HD and I don't get it, I don't like it. Like, I just feel like those that are starting off with the new generation of Zelda, they're just not gonna like it. I'm sorry. So unless Nintendo wants to make a nice 2D Zelda for us old farts, which they're not because they don't care, I don't know. I'm just a little worried about the traditional Zelda.
I think they need to put the good Zelda games on the Switch, and then people can play them, right? Like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. No, I know, I know what you mean. But I mean, like, if Skyward Sword is your first quote unquote old Zelda, oof, boy, that's the wrong one to start with, everybody. I mean, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are both sitting right there on the thing. Just play one of those, right? Play one of those. Yeah, you got to take in consideration that they're 30 years old. Gross, but play them. They're
they also won't get the Groose experience, though.
Look,
and I feel like everyone needs the Groose experience.
You got to build up to let the Groose loose. Okay, you got to build up.
I think go ahead. I think the industry is like starting to lean towards a trend now to where like we're going to get one major trend game a year now. Like I think last year was Elden Ring. This year is obviously going to be Zelda. But like I think we're in a position in the game industry to where like we always want that next big thing, like that Grand Theft Auto like experience, that Zelda like experience, that like that Elden Ring like experience, that community, that game that everyone and their mom is playing. Yeah. Like I feel like we're keyed up to as a society now to where if one of those drops a year, like it's going to be the next best selling thing every single year.
Yeah. Watch out 2024 for the 1.0 release of Disney Dreamlight Valley. It's going to be the big one.
Hey, we got to make some space for Final Fantasy 16. Ooh.
I know. That's going to be. I think that's going to be our Patreon vote. Like what our next book club should be after Zelda. So
it's a good one.
I mean, it's between that and Jedi Survivor. You know, like I think it's probably going to be one of those.
Let me know if you do Jedi Survivor.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, so good. So
good. It's going to be like a 1A 1B situation, I think. So, yeah, I do want to play that. It's just I tried to play it and it crashed on me 3 times.
Oh yeah, it's janky. It's real janky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be polished a little more.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying my time with Tears of the Kingdom. I think it's incredibly. It's the Nintendo thing where it can be as dense as you want it to be, or as simple, I think, as you want it to be. Right? They give you all the parts you need to solve things, but you can build the weird giant. Somebody built an orbital space laser that just earlier. Like I was watching this video of like the 6 weirdest things people have built, and like somebody built a flying orbital space laser. Somebody built a like a functioning mech. Like somebody built a
Trojan horse.
Yep, I seen the Trojan horse.
This is where I feel stupid, okay? I can't even reunite a Korok from the ground level to a cliff. I can't even do that. And these people are building these phenomenal things.
Oh, I was telling Stephanie the story on Palblock the other day. So I found a Korok, and the other one was literally right across the river. Like you could see it, right? Whatever.
Oh, I know where you're talking about.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, right on my way to the Elden mountain, right? So, Death Mountain, and so I go to help him. I'm like, oh, there's one of those bird planes over there. I'm gonna set this up. I'm gonna put this fan on it so it goes. Okay, well, I got to find a way to lift it off because it's not lifting off the ground. Oh, there's a rocket over here. So I attach a rocket to the bird plane, and then I attach the Korok to the bird plane, and I hit the rocket, and it goes, and then it nosedives into the river.
Mine did the same thing. I did the exact same method.
Yeah, and then it starts floating down the river, and I'm like sitting there. First, I try to swim after it, and I'm like losing stamina super fast, and I die because like I lost all my stamina. So it respawned me outside the lake, and then I'm like, we go to record, and then after we record, I'm like running down the river, and it's stuck on that bridge. It's like stuck on the bridge. I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I lost this Korok forever.
I used rewind when it happened to me, and it just came right because it was still stuck on the plane, and it just rewinded right back up. I detached the rocket and shook it off, and then I attached the Korok straight to the rocket, and I'm like straight to the rocket and launched him like it was Toy Story at the end when Buzz and Woody are trying to reunite. Yeah, that's exactly what I did, and shot him across the river.
I always forget the rewind mechanic exists.
Yeah.
I forget the extend one exists.
Yeah. That's those are the two that I don't use really at all, and I should probably use more because that probably would make sense.
Nice.
So,
the latest thing I worked on is I'm like obsessed with fighting those like big block dudes in the sky, those type of constructs.
The flex constructs.
Yeah. So I found like the level 2 one, and it's not necessarily that it's hard, but it just kept knocking me with such force off the island. Then and with like this much health, it has this much health left. So I have to go back to the shrine, start over, and it's back to full health. I whittle it down to this amount. It throws one of its blocks. I get knocked off the sky island. So it's not even like it's killing me. It's knocking me off the island. I can't get back on the island unless I teleport. I had to start the battle over 4 times, and I broke all my good weapons, but I was like hell bent on beating it.
When it throws the block at you, just rewind the throw.
See, this is what I'm not smart.
Like you could almost any projectile in the game, you can just rewind it back at every single enemy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. This is probably why I don't deserve to play this game.
I know this game does a great job of making you feel really stupid and really smart at the same time.
Yeah.
I love the shrines in this one compared to the first one. Like I think the building features in the shrine are like
Yeah,
amazing.
I think the shrines are, most of them are much better. Even the battle ones are like way better. So
I
I've
think one of
solved
my
every
favorite.
single. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say one of my favorite shrines was there's this like rotating wheel like in the middle of the shrine. Down below, it's a pit full of balls, and you have to build something to get a ball up to the top floor, and you end up like just like make it's just a couple like platforms or like the wall like blocks, and I made a scoop and it just grabbed everything up and just like threw like 20 balls towards the
yeah,
hole.
I found one where you had to like get all these balls into like this kind of uh like this, I don't know, this pit, I guess, and like you had to weigh down this button, and like technically yes, you could carry all the balls down there, but like I made this cart, and then I found like this broken piece of wood or something, and I put it on the front of the cart, and I kind of made this like
Snowplow.
bulldozer, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
snowplow, yeah, exactly. And I ended up finding a fan, and it just went, and it pushed all the balls into the pit, and then it opened the door on the other end, and I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
I did it. Felt
Sebastian, did you
smart.
say
Mm-hmm.
you did all of them without having to look it up?
No, I did. I have only basically. I go to every shrine thinking to myself, I'm like, I bet I can solve this shrine using just the Ultra Hand and Rewind button because, like,
Mm.
I figured out if I drop my weapons, like start dropping my weapons, I can start attaching it to different things in the area, and then I can use my Ultra Hand, just throw it at whatever it's supposed to go at, and then I could and then rewind it to where it's kind of stuck in the air at certain points, and then grab it again using my Ultra Hand, and I could just basically just guide anything and everything to any destination in this game. So I'm like, it's one of those things to where I'm like, like that rewind button is also like a freeze button in where you can freeze things in place. So I've become like, that to me is almost the most overpowered thing in this game, and delightfully so, because I'm like, enemy projectiles, like puzzles and everything like that. I can solve almost anything using Ultra Hand, placement of like where I think it kind of like in the direction it should go, and just use that rewind to kind of like help it get to that point.
Oh.
Interesting.
Cool. So that's I think we're gonna cut the Zelda talk there, just because we're gonna be I mean, next week we have Jess from Zelda Universe on, so I think next week is going to literally just be a full blown how far are we Zelda episode, and
we're
obviously
recording book club, so yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. You guys
So
gotta be all Zelda'd out by the
Never.
end of.
Never.
Dude, LeRon's going to take a nap on the show next week. Maybe he's just better taking that show off too.
Dude,
By the way,
Mhm.
forgot to mention at the top of the show, LeRon's taking a break from just tonight because he went on a trip, and he's
road trip,
feeling
yeah.
really vacation
Mhm.
lagged, I guess you would call it. So, LeRon, we hope you're well. We'll see you when we see you.
Listen, I'm already
Bro.
planning out my next Zelda tattoo.
Oh boy, I don't have one Zelda tattoo. I don't have any tattoos.
I want it to be
You have a Zelda.
I have the Silent Princess on my shoulder.
Oh, okay, the flower.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Silent Princess.
And then the behind the logo, it's like the two dragons in a ring.
The Ouroboros.
Yep,
Yeah.
I want it like around my shoulder. That's gonna be my plan.
You should put it around the flower.
No.
Okay. All right. So we're probably only gonna get to one of these topics. Do we want to hit the Rogue Ally versus Steam Deck and portable gaming's future, or do we want to talk about the state of Xbox and PlayStation? Because both of those things are coming up.
Well, I think Sebastian gets majority vote. Do you have a thought?
I think we should do the state of Xbox and PlayStation, especially with the announcement of the PlayStation Showcase next week.
Over an hour.
Yeah.
I'm so excited though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be excited. I'm just not a PlayStation guy. I try.
Oh,
I really do.
I'm a massive PlayStation
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, I'm in the minority of a lot of Boss Rush and gamers in general.
But I think it depends on the audience, right? Like Sebastian, you like a lot of those third-person action adventure with like major story threads, and me too. And like Sony has a lot of great games that specialize in that. And, oh, love it.
The two games I want to hear about, and granted, Final Fantasy 16 is an exception, but I don't really count that as a Sony game, even though it's exclusive. I want to hear about Wolverine.
Yep.
I don't know.
Let's go.
I don't know if we're going to hear about it with Spider-Man so close. But we might see something, right? But I also want to see that Uncharted was clearly shown in that commercial, right? Clearly playing at, I guess I don't want to spoil Uncharted 4 for those who haven't played it, but the character that is revealed at the end of the game is clearly in that trailer. And I want to play that game. I will play Uncharted. I love Uncharted.
I thought Naughty Dog said they were pretty much done.
They are.
Uncharted.
It's
I think it's Bend Studio.
It's not Bend. It's the other
Days
internal.
Gone, right?
Yeah, it's Bend was originally going to work on something, but they didn't want to, and the two heads of Bend left, and now they're working on a new IP. But
because he said Days Gone was garbage, which was a lie.
The internal team at Sony, not Santa Monica, the other one, San Diego, is working on it. The other team at Sony San Diego is supposedly working on it. They've been hiring up. They've got a few ex Naughty Dog people out there heading the project. So, well, rumored, I guess. Well, it's really a terrible rumor, but if those two are shown, I will be like, yes, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready for more Uncharted. If they put a Lost Legacy style Uncharted game out every 18 to 24 months, I would play the hell out of it. Right. Man, Lost Legacy is so good.
I mean,
I want more Nadine and Chloe. That's exactly what I was about to say. I'm like, I would love to play as quote unquote the character at the end of Uncharted 4, but I would love more Nadine and Chloe.
I wonder if Chloe's going to show up as like the quote unquote Sully sidekick,
the mentor character.
So out of all of Sony's franchises, I would have thought that Uncharted was the game that you could not do without its main character, and they totally just proved it wrong with Lost Legacy, that you could have any two kind of mainstay characters and you could have this adventure, this great fun adventure. And like, oh my gosh, Lost Legacy, secretly the best Uncharted game.
I actually think like the theme of this PlayStation generation is next generation, and like not just with the console, but with the stories that they're telling as well. Like because each game and each series is setting up the next generation. Like Spider-Man setting up Miles' story and its continuation on that. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Spider-Man 2 is a heavily like setting up like where Miles is going as the face of the franchise. And then like you see like God of War, et cetera, like a lot of like PlayStation's IPs is setting up the next like cornerstone and next like face of the franchise for each plateau.
Yeah, I would actually argue they tried to start it during PS4 generation with Infamous, right? Like with
Lost Light, First Light.
No, with because Cole McGrath was 1 and 2, and then Desmond was Desmond. That's not
is
that right? Yeah. Desmond Rowe. Yeah, he was like, I mean, it was Infamous 3, but he was the new protagonist, and it's like, well, they kind of started it there, and then kind of like you said, rebooting, or not rebooting, but kind of soft relaunching God of War with Atreus, Guerrilla with Horizon instead of Killzone. Like they're really like moving forward, like you said, and I think that's cool. Like keeping your legacy franchises alive but keeping them fresh. I think that's super smart. I think
doesn't Sony have that like game that's kind of like a Bayonetta but in space? They showed last year.
Dang.
Are you talking about the Capcom game Pragmata? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's not Capcom. I just remember it was like a girl that moved around.
No,
it wasn't
Returnal.
that. She has a blade.
Yeah, she almost fights like these demon-like creatures. I think I know what you were talking about. It was like Project Eve at one point, and then they renamed it, right?
Yeah, I don't remember what they renamed it, but it looks like something that Bandai Namco would have created.
See, this is what I miss about doing a news podcast.
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of that. That's a new IP. Let's see more.
Yeah, I kind of and like I think Xbox is trying to do that too, and with some of their franchises too, right? Like Gears has obviously moved in that direction with JD and Kate, or depending on how you ended Gears 5, I guess. Spoilers, I guess. But like in the Fable reboot, I guess would be kind of moving that direction. But also they have a bunch of franchises that just like exist with the nameless or the characterless protagonist that like you don't really need to do that with. I don't know, man. I think, man, I wish Xbox would just put out some games that were like not stinkers. Like Hi-Fi Rush was a good example of a game that was like, oh my gosh, this game's awesome. Which you were on that
consider Hi-Fi Rush though? Didn't they consider that like a failure?
No.
In their eyes?
No. Like there was a story that came out that it wasn't a commercial success, that was then walked back because it was like its Steam sales is actually pretty strong as opposed to like its commercial success on Xbox.
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush is a good game by Tango Gameworks that I feel like I almost feel like Xbox should go in the opposite direction of PlayStation. Instead of making these massive like single player focused games, like focus on smaller experiences like Hi-Fi Rush, maybe these 10 to 15 hour, maybe even 8-hour games, because like they've been killing it in that space. Like if you look at what they did with Grounded, if you look at what they did with like Hi-Fi Rush and with Pentiment, like lately, like they're like really good at those smaller experiences.
Yeah, they definitely have that like, hey, here's our kind of like secondary and tertiary game to our AAA experiences that we don't have, right? Like they have that nailed. Even some partnerships they've done, like the Gunk. I don't know if you played that from the SteamWorld studio.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'll say it wasn't like amazing by any stretch, but like even something like
I like games where you take something with color or without color, and then you do something and makes it colorful. I like those.
Oh, Mario Sunshine fan.
Yeah, Mario Sunshine, Hickory. Yeah, Chicory. Sorry, Kami. I love those.
So yeah, I mean, getting back to PlayStation, I guess with the their showcase coming up. What do you guys want to see? I mean, I already kind of said what I wanted to see. So,
well, I don't know if I have anything specific in mind for Sony. I mean, yeah, I would love to see
DLC.
No, it's okay. I mean, I don't think it needs a DLC.
Hear the rumors that Stray got an Xbox ESR or Xbox rating?
Yeah. Yeah, they it's funny because some of the people that work at Xbox actually retweeted that article that I got rated. So
I want to see Wolverine, but other than that, I'm just excited for the showcase itself because I do tend to like any Sony PlayStation game, and I know Sony is due to announce their major titles for the rest of the year. So I think this is an important one for them. And that,
guys, Ghost of Tsushima 2.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. Whenever it hit my turn, I was just about to unleash. I'm like, I got bullets in the chamber for this topic.
Yeah, right, I think another safe one would be Death Stranding 2 a little bit. I'm sure Kojima will be there in some capacity. I don't know if you'll see the game. I'm sure he'll say something, and it'll be translated, and then they'll show what's his face from The Walking Dead and Elle Fanning and whoever else, right? But like, man, I Death Stranding is actually a game that I really need to get to that I haven't played yet because it looks really interesting. I'm not like a huge Kojima guy or anything, but like I do think the things he does are super fascinating at the very least. So.
Yeah. As a PlayStation gamer, the games I would love to see, I think we're going to see Death Stranding 2. I do think we're going to see more Rise of the Ronin, which is like a game from the Neo studio. They had that at like the previous showcase a year and a half, like 2 years ago. I think we're going to see that. I do think we're going to see probably whatever project like Blue Point's finally working on. Hopefully we'll get to see that. I'm hoping it's Metal Gear. Like, give us something Metal Gear. I don't care if it's the remaster of 1 or 2 or remake of 1 and 2.
Well,
give us something like that.
Konami will probably be there because that 3 remake is rumored, right? You think Blue Point's doing the 3 remake?
Blue Point does so good with remakes, though. Like they helmed the ship. They did very well with what is it, the dang, Shadow of the Colossus and the Demon Souls and such like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like at least partnered with that. I want to see that. I want to see Uncharted. I know for sure we're probably going to see Spider-Man 2 and probably get actual gameplay, maybe even a definitive date for that. I think we'll probably see what another one that I really think is probably likely is just an announcement trailer for Ghost of Tsushima 2. I think that's highly likely. And then we have and whatever I forget the studio now. I'm blanking out on the one Team Asobi. I think we're probably going to see what Team Asobi's been working on, whether it be another what is that character's name?
Astrobot.
Astrobot, yeah. Like a full-fledged Astrobot game or different things like that. Or we'll probably see another Sackboy.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna do another VR experience with Astrobot.
Oh god,
I don't think they care about VR, to be honest.
Man, I feel like PSVR 2 is like a fart in the wind. They released it and they're like, it's out now with Horizon and these other games you probably already played somewhere else, including
it feels like a tax
platform.
write-off.
It really does.
It feels like a tax write-off. But yeah, I'm so curious. Yeah, that like the VR space is interesting because I'm like they do have to make something that makes us care about VR. And to be honest, like the only VR selling game right now that would probably make people care is Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, I wonder if that shows up. They have to make it. They have to get the two things with PSVR. They have to get a big game like Half-Life Alyx, and they have to price cut. Man, $550 for that headset is
egregious.
Ridiculous. It's more than the console. Like, it's ridiculous. I know it's not an accessory, but a lot of people view it as an accessory. And if your accessory is more than the box, this is the Steel Battalion problem for original Xbox all over again, right? With the huge control. Oh my gosh, that thing was awesome. But like, my point is like your accessory should not be more than the console, right? People don't want to spend $75 on a new controller, let alone a VR headset that they might wear once a year, maybe if a game comes out. You know, granted, there are interesting experiences on PSVR that I would like to try. Like Moss looks super awesome. I think Horizon. I would play Horizon in VR, just to see what
Call of the Mountain.
Yeah. And I mean, there's probably a couple other experiences. I'm not up on PSVR because I don't have one, and I don't.
You should get the Accounting Plus experience.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, all they really need to do is like all they need is 3 major announcements, and everyone's gonna go wild. Bloodborne, remake or remastered in 60 FPS, people are just gonna lose their minds.
I mean,
it's a layup.
What they could do, hear me out. What they could do, they could show Bloodborne remastered, and then at the end of the trailer, they just put Bloodborne 2 on the screen, like a logo.
Oh my goodness!
And that would be Blue Point's.
That
would be Blue Point's project after Metal Gear.
Oh, people would lose their minds.
I know they would, but that they could totally win by doing that. Just by doing that, people will go nuts. People are still playing Bloodborne at like 20 frames a second. Like, it's ridiculous. Oh my gosh,
not that bad.
No, it's pretty bad. Bloodborne's cool though. Bad. I will say, I did finish Bloodborne, and it was I did do it. You Souls people, I played it, and I beat it.
I do think on the realistic side, though, we do probably see Liza P at this showcase, though.
Yeah,
I think that game is probably going to show up there.
Will we be? I mean, if it's coming to Game Pass, you don't think Microsoft kind of has the marketing for that game? You think
they might? They might, yeah.
Yeah. Although they could let Sony show it at their showcase and then they could just throw a trailer out on Game Pass if you're a subscriber.
Yeah, they kind of do that with MLB The Show, but I'm so curious on like what actually PlayStation is going to show, because like the elephant in the room is like Summer Game Fest is like right around the corner as well. So I'm like,
yeah,
and they are going to have announcements as well.
Yeah, it's they're gonna. I think Summer Game Fest. I think we're gonna see a lot of third party stuff at Summer Game Fest, though. I mean, I know Xbox is more into that being there than PlayStation. Sony kind of aims at Paris Games Week for some reason as their kind of big gaming week. Probably because they're their PlayStation arm is based in Europe at this point, but like I don't know. I'm really interested because I want to have a reason to turn my PlayStation on, right? Like
I'm shocked that you don't. I really am.
So here's the thing. The DualSense controller hurts my hands. I've actually been looking into third-party controllers to plug in. I don't like the DualSense controller at all. Like after like 30 or 40 minutes, my hands like get really cramped. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know why. But
see, I feel the same. Like the same way you feel about the PS5 and the PS5 controller is the same way I feel about my Switch and my Switch controller. Like I had, like for the last like year and a half, I had very few reasons to turn that thing on. And then like Tears of the Kingdom is my first time like being in that for long periods of time in a very long time now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like we're so close to whatever Nintendo's going to release next. I feel like that I don't think it's worth getting one of those big grippy kind of Joy-Con controller. Maybe it is. I don't know, but there's plenty of bigger controllers that you can attach to your Switch for handheld mode that I've been thinking about getting, just because the Joy-Cons hurt my hands. I feel like I'm like doing one of these things. Yeah. And that's why I play my Switch on the TV all the time, like almost primarily, unless I'm going on vacation or going out or whatever. Like it's a TV console for me. And then when I do go out, like if we're going on vacation, I'm driving or if we're flying on a plane or something, I'm taking a Pro Controller with me.
I see. Even then, I'm not a Pro Controller kind of guy, considering like all the button placements is completely different than Xbox and PlayStation that I'm used to.
Yeah, I know that bothers me too.
I hate the X and the AB button are swapped. Oh,
I know.
God.
I know. You can thank Super Nintendo for that. Ugh, gross. The B button at the bottom. PlayStation used to be that way too, and then in the PlayStation 4 generation, they swapped it where like not in Japan, like the circle button is accept and the X button is back. And they finally unified it with the PlayStation 4 generation. So
that feels so wrong.
Back, I mean, if you go back on PS1 and you play Final Fantasy VII and you try to play Final Fantasy VII on PS1, you're going to be so messed up because all the accept buttons are circle and all the X buttons are back.
I'm not gonna lie, I got like put in the ground a couple of times in Tears of the Kingdom just because of the button placement on the Pro Controller, and I'm like, oh no, yeah. But it's a fun experience, but yeah, it's definitely a hindrance for me personally.
Yeah. I want to see what Bend is working on. It's been a while since they've been since Days Gone has come out. I want to see what so I'm trying to think of some of these studios that Sony
The Last of Us. We're probably going to see
Factions,
yeah, for sure. It's got to be here, right?
I wonder if that's their fall game.
I mean, Spider-Man's a fall game, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Xbox is putting out 3 games this fall. I wouldn't.
It's Xbox the company we want to emulate right now based on their cadence.
I mean, with Starfield, Forza, and Hellblade, those are 3 pretty big games for the fall for Xbox.
I doubt Hellblade's coming though.
Dude, Hellblade was the first game they showed off. If that game's not coming out this year, what are they doing?
Hellblade feels like a spring release now. Like I believe you about like Forza and for sure Starfield, but like Hellblade.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm just hoping at this point, man. As somebody who primarily plays Xbox, like, and granted, I bought a Series X to play Destiny at 60 frames a second, so I'm not going to sit here and try to like, bang on all these Xbox games. Although I still think the hate for Halo Infinite's a little overblown because that game is still pretty good. The roadmap sucked, but the game is good. But anyways, like there just hasn't been anything on Xbox that I've like really wanted to play since Halo Infinite. Redfall was kind of like piquing my interest, but then obviously it is what it is. But
I'm shocked because Redfall to me, it always kind of looked iffy because like I haven't seen very many success stories other than Destiny of people of like games that mesh like single player and like multiplayer. Like, but you share the same map and the same experience done very well.
Well, I mean, I didn't say I was excited for Redfall. I said it piqued my interest. So, I want to be very clear, everybody. Where were we going? Let's see. Xbox, Hellblade is like Hellblade's the one I have circled for Xbox. Like that's the game I'm looking forward to. And like as if I was just like a normal dude on the street, just played games normally, like a normal person, not like us, where we have to like try everything out every 5 seconds. I don't know if I would even own a next gen console yet, because there really hasn't been a reason to own them at this point, in my opinion.
Oh man, I don't know. Like we've gotten some bangers on the PlayStation side of the fence. Like Ratchet and Clank, I think it's been really good. I think Spider-Man, both Miles Morales and PlayStation, which albeit is on PlayStation, PS4.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. Like those games are on PS, like Horizon and God of War, both on PS4. Like there's no like real reason to own these consoles except to play the game prettier, I guess. You know,
Demon Souls was pretty good, and it was like a PS5 exclusive.
Yeah, but you have to be into those games to play it. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that these games aren't bad. I'm just like, I'm not a Ratchet and Clank guy. Like, if anything, out of any of those platforms, I'm a Jack and Daxter guy. But, you know, Demon Souls is like, yeah, whatever. Gran Turismo.
Returnal.
Yeah, I'm not a roguelike guy, so pass. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm really terrible at this podcast, everybody. I feel like I'm kind of a downer this time.
We got to see Avowed though for Xbox. Like Avowed has to be there.
But again, like that game doesn't interest me at all. Like
wow,
I don't like Elder Scrolls and stuff. I don't like those games. I want to see Indiana Jones. I want to see Doom. I want to see Wolfenstein. I want to see Fable. I don't care what the fake Elder Scrolls game is that Xbox is trying to put out. You know?
Okay.
I don't
Outer Worlds as well.
I don't care about Outer Worlds either. I tried to play Outer Worlds like 3 separate times. I just couldn't get into it.
Okay, so not a Western RPG kind of person.
No, well, but like I like Fable and I like The Witcher. So like I don't know what the problem is. I don't know. I'm just a terrible gamer, I guess. I don't know. What else do I want to see? I want to see what like I want to see what this Indiana Jones games is, because that game, Indiana Jones, favorite IP maybe of all time, depending on the day.
The movie looks good.
Mm-hmm. Dial of Destiny.
It does look good. Good. I'm also an Indiana Jones 4 defender, so but I think that's just because I like the character and not necessarily the movie.
We all have guilty pleasures in life, man.
We do. That's a good After Dark topic. I think we already did it, but we could do it again. Yeah, I don't know, man. Xbox is in such a weird place, and I hope that they come out and show games that don't give me the 12-month crap. Like State of Decay also, that's another game. Perfect Dark, they could show.
I like State of Decay a lot, but from everything we've been told, like those two studios have kind of been in chaos lately. So I don't necessarily know if we'll get anything.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Perfect Dark. I think it was rumored that it restarted development, and then Crystal Dynamics was brought in, and
they're in almost a very similar situation that Knights of the Old Republic is for PlayStation right now.
Oh my gosh, man, that remake! What a downer, man! I'm so upset.
I was hopeful.
That game was going. Oh man, Knights of the Republic is one of the best games.
Speaking of another studio that kind of could do something, what was the studio that put out like what was it? Beyond what was it? The robots where you got to choose a whole bunch of different kinds of adventure. Like
Detroit
choices.
Become Human.
Detroit Become Human, yeah. Like they're rumored to be making a Star Wars game as well.
What?
So I'm like, I would
Eclipse,
love to see. Well,
it's been announced. Eclipse is announced.
Yeah.
What? By Quantum, whatever.
Yeah, Aquatic Dream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah, I mean, In Exile is rumored to be working on like a AAA kind of third-person action RPG, which would be interesting. I just brought up a list of games that are in development at Xbox, so I'm just scrolling. Just give me a second. They gotta show something, right? I mean, Age of Mythology is in development, which like RTS fans, whatever. Age of Empires is pretty good on Xbox if you're into that. Contraband, I forgot Contraband was supposed to be coming out from Avalanche. That open world kind of like, I want it to be, you know what game I want that game to be like? Remember Smuggler's Run on the PS2?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I imagine this game being, like an open world Smuggler's Run.
I hope so, because I'm getting very Far Cry vibes from this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that would be cool too, but I feel like there's so much Far Cry out there at this point. Project Midnight from Compulsion is also out there. Could be interesting. Also, do we see Gears 6 at this Xbox showcase? Like even a tease?
I think the more likely thing is we see that rumored Gears remastered or that Gears collection. Gears collection.
I would accept that, honestly, at this point. Gears of War is my favorite Xbox franchise. I would definitely play all 3 of those games again. Judgment, you can take it or leave it. It was fun, but I wouldn't really play it again. I don't know, man. There's just so much that we know so much yet so little. It's ridiculous.
I want to see more Fable. I think that's got to be that's got to be shown.
Well, I mean, Matt Booty was out there saying that Fable, he's been asking to show Fable at the last couple of shows that Xbox has put on, and Playground has said no, we're not ready. And this is the one that everybody's circling that Fable could like show up at, because it's a big one. Microsoft needs a win. Fable is something that everybody's kind of looking forward to, especially off the heels of Tears of the Kingdom. Xbox would probably do good to show off something that resembles, a little bit of Zelda in a way. I mean, granted, not the same type of game, but kind of is, open world fantasy action RPG. Be awesome. Yeah. I mean, Fable 2 is like an all-time classic game.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Fable 2, awesome. Fable 1's good. Fable 2, top tier Xbox.
My hot take is I even like 3.
I like 3 too, but 2 is the best. I'm not a hater of 3 like most people. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just they both need a roadmap. I think Xbox has games announced that need a roadmap. PlayStation just needs to announce some games, and I think PlayStation can show up at this thing with only logos and people will get hyped because they've earned that, right?
Oh yeah, like PlayStation could legitimately launch, like basically go on stage just like Marvel does with the Phase 4, and just announce those logos and dates, like just date estimates, and people would just lose their minds. On Microsoft's side of the fence, like I look at all the games you listed, and even if a lot of those come out, they need to be like 9s or 10s across the board, because even like 7s at this point won't change the narrative, won't move the needle.
Yeah, and even then, like you gotta put something out more than the Halo, Gears, Forza trilogy at this point, right? Because like Gears 5 was like getting 9s and 9.5s all over the place, and nobody cared.
No one cares. No.
As a Gears fan, I loved Gears 5s, but like it didn't even chart. And granted, it was after the point where the game came out on Game Pass day one. People were starting to really get into Game Pass, that kind of thing. But like, it didn't even chart on NPD that month, the month that came out, right? And that's not really something you want from a quote unquote top tier franchise. So, I mean, let's see. These are the games that Xbox has announced in development. This article came out at the end of April. So 343 is working on Halo DLC supposedly. Alpha Dog is working on the continuation of Mighty Doom, which is the mobile game. Arcane Austin has Redfall DLC. Arcane Leon is hiring for their next project. People are begging it to be Dishonored 3. I think it's Deathloop 2, to be honest.
Hey man, let's go. Deathloop. Give me more Deathloop.
Especially because the voice actor of Colt, what's his name, Colt, already came out and kind of confirmed that he was already working on a whatever the code name was for Deathloop. He said we're working on that 2, like the number 2, and I'm like, oh well, okay, well they're working on Deathloop 2. Bethesda Game Studios working on Starfield and Elder Scrolls, whatever. Coalition Gears, it just says Gears, so whatever. Gears 6, Gears Collection, I'll take both at this point. Compulsion Games, Project Midnight. Double Fine Productions is working on an unknown title. Id is working on an unknown title. I bet Id shows up with. Yeah, I bet it's the Quake reboot that everybody's been talking about. I would like to see Doom 3, or I don't know, Trinity, whatever you want to call
it. Whatever, Eternal Part 2, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Initiative, Perfect Dark. Yeah, that's not. I don't know if that's going to show up. In Exile is working on their RPG, Machine Games, Indiana Jones. Mo Yang is working on Minecraft Legends and another Minecraft project.
Wait, Minecraft Legends, like the one that just came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got DLC and it's like an ongoing thing. I think
it's a
like
live. Yeah, it's a live service game.
Yeah. Ninja Theory is working on. What else we could see from Ninja Theory is that horror game they're working on, Project Mara, that they showed. I don't know if you saw this trailer. Like it was after Hellblade was shown off, but it's just them walking through this. I don't know if it's a hospital or some sort of insane asylum, but it's just like glass and the lights are flickering and you see stairs and they walk up the stairs and it goes dark. Obsidian's working on Avowed and Outer Worlds 2. Playground has Forza 5 DLC and Fable. Rare's working on Everwild and Sea of Thieves. Everwild would be an interesting one to see here, but I mean, Rare, that team at Rare has kind of been gutted, and that game has been rumored to be restarted too. So I don't know. Roundhouse Studios working on Redfall support. I think that's their other mobile game studio. It also says they're working on an unannounced mobile project. Tango Gameworks, Ghostwire Tokyo, and an unannounced project. Turn 10, Forza, Undead Labs, State of Decay, World's Edge, Age of Empires 4 support, and Age of Mythology Retold. Xbox Game Studios Publishing is working on Contraband and Ara History Untold, and then ZeniMax is working on Elder Scrolls Online DLC. So, like, that's a lot of announced stuff, right?
Yeah. Can we be honest though? I mean, like, you listed all those games out there, like they could all be nines out of tens, and I don't think anyone would care because like they're not known IP. They're also like they're all in niches that people kind of like shrug off for the most part. Like, don't get me wrong, like racing is going to be racing game. Like Stealth, Dishonored didn't shake the world on fire, and it was actually a good
game. That's why they made Deathloop and Redfall, because Dishonored didn't sell any. I mean, Dishonored 2 sold like less than 2 million units, I think, in its lifetime. You know, and the DLC sold less than 800,000 copies. So the Death of the Outsider. So like,
yeah, Perfect Dark's not going to do anything in 2023. I'm sorry, it's just like
nobody wants it. I mean, here's the thing: you have a shooter franchise that you should probably be taking more care of in Halo. I actually think Perfect Dark would have been better as a non-first person shooter. I would have liked to seen them go the Metal Gear route with that.
Oh yeah, like or maybe even Splinter Cell.
Like a stealthy kind of spy thriller. Like maybe you can make it more colorful and psychedelic because that's kind of what whatever. But like first person shooter, no, you don't have room. There's no room. Sorry, with something like Halo. I mean, even Halo is struggling a little bit, right? But like Halo, Call of Duty, Destiny.
And then you also have your outside stuff like Fortnite and like Apex Legends and stuff like that. The first person shooter on your own platform is very congested.
Yeah, there's no room. There's no room for a first person Perfect Dark anymore, and that's sad but true. And I said this years ago on an old podcast I used to do. Like Perfect Dark would just be I actually said this when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out. I was like, you know what would be great for this game would be Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark would be great in a Metal Gear scenario. Maybe not Metal Gear 5 specifically, but like probably more 1 and 3-ish.
Yeah, I think they really need to lean into some more character driven stuff because like I think Xbox has an identity problem. Like you can what PlayStation's done really well and Nintendo's done extremely well over the years is like they have recognizable brands and faces like across the board. And Xbox, even if all these games come out, like I think 2 of them have like a mascotable character. Like outside of that, even Marcus Phoenix is not like super well known, and he has had 4 games.
They're trying to make Kate the face of the franchise, and like she was a side character in Gears 4, and then Gears 5 nobody cared. So like as much as I think Kate is a great character and probably a great front character for that series moving forward, they haven't done anything to make her feel special yet, right?
No.
And that's what Sony does so well, is like Sony's characters feel earned, and that way when they bring out a new IP, right, it's cool because they have the legacy that's been earned already. And you know, Xbox hasn't had anything relevant since probably the Xbox One came out, right? Like, I mean, the one that got away, I would say, would be Titanfall at that extent, right? Would like Titanfall 1, cool multiplayer thing, but then they didn't secure the exclusive for Titanfall 2 and they lost it, you know? Like Titanfall 2 could have been there, like, okay, we've got a partnership with EA, Titanfall 2. Not that game either though is like has like a mascotable character or anything, but like that could have been their answer to like, okay, Halo didn't really set the world on fire. People like Titanfall. Let's use Titanfall as a band-aid until we figure out what to do with Halo at that point.
No, I missed I think even more so is like you missed your opportunity with Mass Effect. That came out and on the original Xbox as an Xbox exclusive. Well, it came out on the Xbox 360 as an Xbox exclusive, and I'm like, that could have been something special for you.
Yeah, I mean, all of BioWare's games were Jade Empire, Knights of the Old Republic. They could have snatched up BioWare and had those games all to themselves, right? And then
here's a better question: why don't you just repeat that? Like you have all these studios, just repeat the same process all over again.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: they have two things that could potential. A lot of people are pointing at Hellblade to rival God of War. I don't think doubt it. I don't think it has the staying power, especially if you guys played the first one. It's not that type of game at all. I really don't think it is, at least in my opinion. People are looking at that, and people are hoping that Indiana Jones is going to be their answer to Uncharted, but we still don't know if that's multi-platform or not. That's the thing too, because that deal was made before Microsoft bought Bethesda. So
Plague Tale has a better chance of breaking the needle with Uncharted than actually that.
Wow. Yeah. We'll see. I'm concerned for Xbox first party as always, but I'm excited either way to see something. Sony is also exciting me. Back to Wolverine. That's the other thing too, is Sony's snatching up these licensed exclusives too now with Marvel. Like why didn't when they announced Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, why didn't Xbox go and be like, hey, we want to, I don't know, Black Panther
Doctor Strange
or Doctor Strange, or or go to DC and say, hey, we want Batman, right? We want something.
I've always wondered why Xbox didn't do a Green Arrow project, because it's almost like tailor-made for them, that sort of thing. But like even still, like Marvel isn't necessarily like, it's like, I guess you could say, like being very cagey with their IPs right now. They've given Nintendo like license to do some games for them. They've also done that with PlayStation. I would look at more. I would also look at other things like Invincible. Like Invincible could be or The Boys. Those are like very known IP now that like Xbox could capitalize on. Like a boys game in that kind of universe where you have to take down all the sort of like bad guys of the seven in that universe could be a better version than what the Suicide Squad game is currently doing right now. And you take out the live service aspects, you can make it like a very much single player narrative focused game where you have to take down Homelander and all the crew from that show. That is wildly intriguing as opposed to like the Suicide Squad game.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair though, there is an ex PlayStation guy running the Disney games stuff. God, I always forget his name. I don't. He's married to the girl that runs What's Good Games. I forget.
Yeah, Renee.
John. God, I forget his name. But like he used to be the head of like PlayStation's marketing stuff, and now he's the head of marketing at Disney Interactive, and is kind of like in control of these IP. And I mean, not that PlayStation has an end, but it's kind of, it doesn't hurt, So, and I think Nintendo's,
John Drake, right?
Yes, John Drake. Thank you. Gosh, thank you. Oh, that was going to bother me the rest of the night. So, anyways, I'm excited for these. We'll see what happens. Sony's up first, right? May 20, a week from today, actually. So, patrons, you'll hear this before the thing happens. Free feeds. We could all be wrong. It's fine. It was a good conversation anyway. So Wolverine looks awesome. There's one for the free people. Hopefully,
I want to see more Venom. Oh man, Venom and Spider-Man 2. That's gonna be so hype. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Parker is like one of the main bad guys in the end of the game because Venom's corrupted him. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, I wonder if that would. That seems like a logical turning point.
Yeah, yeah. And then Kraven the Hunter is gonna be in this game. Let's go, man! I'm excited for Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think the twist in Spider-Man was pretty interesting. The Venom twist, at least. So,
what can you imagine if they do like the GTA 5 thing to where like you can instantly switch between those characters, like just like you could in GTA?
I think you're going to be able to switch through all three of them at some point.
Oh,
I bet Venom is a playable character at some point in this character. I think, or in this game, I think you get halfway through and like Venom, or I don't want to spoil the end of Spider-Man Remastered because it just came out as a solo game, I guess. For those who haven't played it, but like, yeah, I think that relationship between Peter and this character is going to be. You're going to be able to play as Venom.
My big thing out of this whole like Spider-Man 2 thing is like I would be shocked if at the end of this game they haven't set up like Spidey Gwen in this universe so that Spidey Gwen could be the new Miles Morales, like smaller contained game.
Yeah, that would make sense too.
Yeah,
especially because like her popularity, especially since Spider-Verse came out, has like escalated immensely. So
yeah,
we will see, but we're gonna call it there. This was a good show. This was great. Sebastion, thank you for coming on. This was awesome. We're gonna have to have you back. We're gonna have to have you on more because this was great.
Sorry I talk so much, guys.
Oh, it's good.
No, I mean, it is a podcast. It would be terrible if you didn't. So, you wanna plug single player experience and yourself again real quick before we head on out?
Yeah, for sure. I've been Sebastion. Thank you all so much for having me. You can find me on all your favorite podcast platforms with the Single Player Experience podcast, the premier podcast for single player gamers to find out about good single player games to play. Just like these guys do a great job with the book club experience, you can kind of find us doing kind of the same old. We recently deep dug into like Horizon, Burning Shores, that expansion. We did the WWE deep dive of WWE 2K23 and other different games of that nature. We're also doing a series coming up where we're going to be talking about like the indie game power rankings, where we're going to be doing what is the best indie games so far this year, and as well as we're going to be power ranking the AAA games as well. It's not going to be just me, so you already know Zelda's going to be high up there. So be on the lookout for that, guys. And again, thank you so much for having me. You can find me on the Twitter and all those kind of other spaces at Sebastion P&R Pro Nerd Report. And thank you again.
Yeah, man, you're awesome. I would like to do more collaborations with you, so we will be in touch. There's something I've kind of wanted to do. Maybe we'll do that. So, anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Boss Rush Podcast, at Boss Rush Network. Check out all of our content at bossrush.net. A lot of great stuff over there. Read our banters, read our reviews, read our stories and everything over there. Check out our podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
The Boss Rush Podcast is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. This show is produced, written, and directed by me, Corey Dirrig. My co-hosts are Stephanie Klimov, LaRon Dawkins, and Edward Varnell. You can find Stephanie at Klimov_author on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on the EXPcast. You can find LaRon at Exodus803 on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and also on Crossroads, the video game podcast. You can find Edward at ThatRetroCode on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting Nintendo Power Block. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamCoreyInHD, and find me hosting Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, and co-hosting Nintendo Power Block. Find the Boss Rush Podcast on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.